Randy Short. This is the 25th day of 2021, month of February. It's about 5 p.m. Just a few minutes ago, it's 5:15 p.m. The United States Congress, in a vote about, I think, 226 or 221 or 224 to 206, voted in favor of the Pedophile Amnesty Act, aka the Gay Equality Act, or HR1, which used to be HR5, which used to be HR 2282. What does this bill? By the way, every single black member of Congress has just voted for reparations for gays, for pedophiles, for people into necrophilia, but they will not do that for you or me. The NAACP, the Urban League, the National Asshole Network, all of them support the Gay Equality Act, which basically makes a man that eats doo-doo, or a person that has sex with kids, or a person that's cut their penis off or stitched up their vagina is equal to a lynching victim. Um, I learned something this week. This week, I learned that land that my father and mother bought 51 years ago in North Carolina, that some white folks, some crooked white folks, have falsified the records to make it seem as if our land belongs to people who didn't buy it, and they've erected a cell tower on it, $500,000 cell tower. And they're renting that out at tens of thousands of dollars, never given, even let us know it happened, never gave my mother a penny, but instead tried to get her to sell this land that my father and mother bought 51 years ago to build a church in North Carolina so they could make money hands over fist. So instead, they used a government agency in North Carolina to make it seem as if they needed to have an easement on our property. They didn't want to give much money for that. My mother at least made them give 2 1/3 time what they wanted to give. And then they lied and said the piece that she sold to them is her piece, and the piece that wasn't theirs, which belongs to mom and I, is theirs. And they've probably gotten millions and millions of dollars. Why was this? And this happens all over the country. There's always fraud because we're black. Our sexuality isn't why they decided to rob us. They decided to steal from us because we're black. I've been down there. I haven't been down there in 51 years. When we were down there, I tell people this story. Some crackers more or less ran my father off the road, and we were in the middle of nowhere in Jones County, North Carolina, for a week. Thank God back then you took food and water with you because you could get killed using the restroom. You could end up getting killed for stopping at the wrong place for food, even in the late 60s. I'm not telling you what I heard on PBS. I'm telling you, I know what it's like to sit in a car with horseflies, with people showing guns, nooses, genitalia, and threatening to kill your mother, your father, and you with no help from nowhere. This doesn't happen to gay people. Whole week. Finally, white man broke down. He was so ashamed of the hate that his people in his community was showing people. We didn't want to integrate their neighborhood. We weren't trying to have an interracial marriage. We weren't staging a civil rights demonstration. We were trying to go the hell back home. And the imperiousness of white racism, the nastiness, the degeneracy, the barbarity of tens of millions of white people I experienced in that one example of being trapped. We couldn't leave, and no one would help us out. And finally, the one gentleman who broke down crying when he realized God is just a nigger family. They, they just want to go. They're not trying to do anything. They're not freedom riders. So he went to the local Klan person who had a tow truck, who was angry with him, who demanded like a huge amount of money for a little bit of work, agreed to tow a car. When we got to the place, his station, I hadn't used the bathroom in about 7 days. When I asked to use the restroom, this grown man looked at me like he was ready to kill me. Only because the other white gentleman says, he's just a kid. Implies he's just a nigger kid. He's not trying to like live in your bathroom. And the man told me, be quick about it. Hear me? So I remember going to the bathroom and being so scared. I couldn't even pee. I was afraid to wash my hands. I thought they were going to come get me. Do you understand? Gay people don't live in that degree of terror. I'll do one more. Martin Luther King got killed April 4th, 1968, the year prior. I remember it. I remember the day Martin Luther King got killed, and I was just 3 years old. Some white gentleman from Alexandria, I lived in the suburbs of Alexandria, went into Washington, D.C., and was making fun and laughing at the black people who were mourning Dr. King's death, and some people stabbed him to death. The people where I lived in Virginia swore vengeance. And so anyone black, and I lived in Fairfax County then. Fairfax County then was maybe 1-2% black. Anybody black had to pay for this murder that took place in DC. You get calls, we're going to burn you niggers up. You know, I've never thought to do this to anybody. Stuff I could tell you that I just don't. I don't even hate anybody that much, but I know what it's like to be hated like this. I know what it's like for you to live in a neighborhood and people put trash in your yard every day because you were black, and then complain to the property owner that the black people were dirty when the property manager knew that the people were putting the trash in the yard. I know what it's like for people to not want to deliver your newspaper. I know what it's like for the Nazis to call and threaten to kill you because you live in an area that niggas don't belong in. Gay people, and in fact, the gay movement is a white movement. It is a movement of white people to get reparations around their deviance, and they're going to get it with the help of the sellout, compromised, misleadership cast of coons. Believe me, this is happening. Every single black in Congress is about maybe 54 of them now. They voted all for LGBTQ. Do you understand? If the Democrats got 220 some odd votes, the black congressional vote was almost a fourth of the vote. They could have leveraged for something. They won't do it because their mission is to kill us. Their mission is to kill us. Their mission is to kill us. That yes, there are black people working night and day to destroy you and I. I'm going to do another one of these, but have you noticed that Closet Queen, T.D. Jakes, is pushing this vaccination? Have you noticed that the NAACP is pushing vaccination? The NAACP was friends to Margaret Sanger, by the way. Oh, yes. We're being targeted for elimination, and the traitors are in our midst. There wasn't just one Judah that killed Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. The entire Chicago Black Panther Party had many, many, many spies and snitches. We as black people literally are in a sea of scum, traitors. I, I want to say to you, and I'll tell you, I am not that old. At 56, I'm not that old. A lot of black people have no idea or do not wish to understand how deeply hated we are as a people. I'll do one more Alexandria story. Father and mother, my brother and I, late at night, the car, 1967, and the policeman stops my father. And like, nigga, are you in the car with a white woman? My father says, no, sir. My wife's not a white woman. I says, nigga, did I ask you to say more than yes or no? My father says, no. So it says, miss, are you a white woman? And my mother says, no. Are you sure? And my mother said, yes. Policeman didn't take a word for it. And I can recall, I have light sensitivity in my eyes. I can recall the man pointing his flashlight into my brothers and my face to look at us, to see, to make certain we weren't too light, because he didn't believe my mother wasn't white. And we were dark enough to say, maybe this nigger isn't with the white woman. He says, see, see that you get home. You don't need to hang around here. I'm not old. I'm really not that old. For millennials, I'm not that old. If folk, and they still hate like this, look at it. They would have let us starve to death in 1969, and my mother's a widower. They began robbing her in 2014. Same people, same races. It's done differently. There, they'd let you starve to death. Now, they'll financially defraud you of hundreds of, or tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars and lie on you. And trust me, guess what? Guess what the kicker is? If that cell tower got struck by lightning and hit a car and killed a white family, we'd be liable. It would be our fault being the victims of systemic, structural white racism. Gay, powerful, pedophiles, predators, drag queens, transvestites, they are not treated this way. Joe Biden, who many of you voted for, is the biggest deviant of all times. The biggest deviant of all times. And I want to say something to all of you black LGBTQ sexuality coons. Who do you think cut the penises off of black men that got lynched? Do you think they were straight? You dumbasses. I'm going to be doing a presentation very, very soon. I am so glad to be back. I'm also going to be broadcasting on all of my YouTube channels, the same content, maybe a different angle. And I want to let you know there's so much more. No, brother, it ain't time to move to Africa. Africa's in trouble. Angola has embraced the gay agenda on the strength of having U.S. support. They're trying to flip the government in Uganda. Museveni is not my favorite person, but he's saying no to the gay agenda. There's literally American soldiers stationed off in the Indian Ocean, waiting for orders to possibly topple the government of Uganda because Biden and them want to crack a country in Africa that won't go along with the gay agenda to frighten the others. Chucks and pearls coons. Let's just get rid of Trump. We just get Trump out of the house. What has it gotten us? It will get worse. And by the way, it was wonderful. I went out today. I told people it's going to get warm early. It's been 60 degrees 2 days in a row, and the weather's not cooling down. The warmer it gets, the more folks are going to find out there's a thing called herd immunity, and that this COVID pandemic is going to begin to fall apart. Now, I want to take a minute to say to you, it broke my heart yesterday. A woman I care a whole lot for. I heard she was sick, so I called her because, you know, we were cool, but they had another person. I'm respectful. I don't bother people. And they married that person. We've still been cool, but I ain't trying to. The Bible says abstain from all appearances of evil. So I told them, even if you're separated, I can't hang around a married woman. Get divorced, we can hang. Married, that dude ain't gonna blow my head off. Or people say, man, you screwed another person's wife. No, I wouldn't do that. I try to practice what I preach. What I'm gonna say is I called to see how she was doing. She said she was fine. Oh, that was good. But she said, my daughter's been vaccinated. And my thing is, did you let her do that? She said, no, no. My daughter wouldn't listen to me. She got the vaccination over my objections. She has swelling in her arms, migraine headaches, dizziness. She's vomiting, nausea, cramping. She doesn't know what to do. This conversation was yesterday. The mother had to drive from Alexandria to put the daughter, I believe, in the hospital. My friends, my friends, my friends. Being stupid, being dumbed down, being fool ass, black people, it's not a virtue. You might have a lot of friends. You may even be popular with a lot of lazy, trifling black people who don't like anyone that thinks or reads or studies. But in an age of information, the queerest thing is a dummy. A lot of our people are not queer sexually, but we're queer intellectually. And it's a high-ass price to pay for being dumb as hell and arrogant as hell and proud of the stupidity. They will kill you, will wipe your black asses, male and female, out, and that will just be that. I am not encouraging anyone to hate anybody else. Look, I'm a straight shooter. On one side of the family, the folk who are African didn't take no shit. I don't know when it happened, but the folks in my family ran away and weren't going to take no shit and were free prior to 1800. Okay, I'm just saying. The other side of the family, my mother's family, yes, they were house niggas. They were house niggas, it's a fact. But they got their freedom around the time of the American Revolution. Okay? And what I'm saying to you is that, as uncomfortable as it is, you cannot control your heritage. You can't control who you descended from. I'm not boasting. I was appalled to find out one of my ancestors ran slave ships from Africa to the Caribbean to America. And between these three brothers, they owned about 120 or more black people. Not pleased. But I can't lie. If I see pictures of people, I look sort of like them. We are who we are. I would never encourage you to hate anybody, but you can hate people's ideas. You can hate their actions. You can hate their deeds. You can despise what they stand for, and you should. And that's what Coon Buses is all about. You'll never hear me say, hate Asians, hate Latin. I'm sorry. Okay, my grandmother's great grandmother was a Seminole Afro Latino, I guess. I I like ADOS, but my great great grandfather is a Jamaican. I got family from Barbados, family in Haiti, family. But I love America, and I'm a Black American first. But I'm not gonna hate anybody. I got family in Canada, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and that's just the people who went back. I have family all over Africa and Europe. Whether God, I have them in Denmark. I don't hate anybody, but I know what it's like to be hated. We're hated, and we hate, many of us hate ourselves. Proof of that is how the Congressional Black Caucus voted today. Proof of it is the silence of the National Congress of Black Churches and all the other companion black groups within the Leadership Conference for Civil Rights. We're under attack, and someone is at war with you, whether you decide to war back or not. Waging war spiritually and intellectually against what is wrong, what is evil. It's not melanin count, high or low. It's darkness and light and conflict, good and bad, righteousness and wickedness. Whose side are you on? Who do you call? Do you call Satan? Or do you call Jehovah or Yahweh or or Yeshua? Who are you calling? Who's empowering you to navigate through this where we're outnumbered, outgunned, and infiltrated by our own as well as others? I want to point your attention to the Legal Defense and Education Fund, or should I say the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, established in 1959, 50 years after the NAACP was established. It used to be the legal wing of the NAACP. It's been its own entity since 1959 under the aegis of Mr. Greenberg. Yes, you know exactly what that name means. Let me keep moving. They are after Trump saying he did voter suppression. Trump couldn't do voter suppression. However, the election was hacked. We all know this. So the voter suppression was done in this instance in Pennsylvania, Georgia, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and even in Virginia by the Democrats. Don't be surprised if these black groups don't find themselves being targeted by angry, racist, white nationalists or white racial terrorist groups. Real talk, real talk, real talk. Oh, I'm sorry, I left out Michigan. Michigan too, yes. The NAACP, with that fat, despicable Benny Thompson of Mississippi's 2nd Congressional District, they're after Trump for inciting the January 6th riot in which you've been told 5 or 6 people were killed because of the mob. By the way, the police been sick nick. They've had to retract it, but far back in the New York Times and other papers that policeman was not beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. Were people in the crowd racist? Of course. Did they kill all the people they said? No. The NAACP with Benny Thompson. The 2nd Congressional District is the Mississippi Delta. Down there, black people are dying at 3 or 4 times the rate for whatever is called COVID. Uh, by the way, Benny Thompson from Mississippi. And it's interesting, Derek Johnson, the current president and CEO of the National Association of Coon People, As far as I know, when he was head of the NAACP in Mississippi, did he bust a grape to find out about the scores of lynchings of blacks? I want to say to you the next few seconds that there was a man named Andre Jones. His mother was head of the Mississippi NAACP, and his father was head of the Nation of Islam. When he was hung as a very young man, lynched, neither the NAACP or the Nation of Islam or anyone else would really help that Jones Muhammad family. If you ever run across them, if they're still alive, if you say my name, they'll smile. They'll smile because I'm one of the few people that tried to get justice for their lynched son. And there have been other instances where I've been one of the few, and I'm not boasting, it has nothing. God does it. God gives us a passion for justice and righteousness. God did that. I have nothing to do with it. I'm just acting on what was given to me. So I'm not tripping. I'm just trying to say to you, for a broke Negro who lives with his mom in his 50s, why is it that I might try to do something and these people with multi-million-dollar budgets and staffs and charters to do this work don't do it? That includes the nigger preachers like T.D. Jakes. Have you really heard or seen him do much around racism? Yeah, he did a letter. If you saw that video thing last year where the white preacher was begging T.D. Jakes to take a stand on racism, a white man is angry about racism. T.D. Jakes is being all calm because it's about the Benjamins. And that's all people really care about. In the words of Reverend Dr. Walter Fauntroy, the former first black congressman for Washington, D.C., and the number 3 man under Dr. Martin Luther King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, he would say, in all cases, cash rules. Please believe that cash, the white or the WASP or the Ashkenazim or Khazarian funders of the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund and the NAACP is behind the attacks on Trump. Now, it's not so much that Trump needs to be protected by me. I'm not fighting to protect Trump, but I'm very, 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 very concerned that the same Legal Defense and Education Fund, the same NAACP, the same Congressional Black Caucus are against the Second Amendment. They're engaged in the little NAACP chapters all over the country to disarm us. We need guns just to deal with our own thugs and jackasses and knuckleheads and shenanes. We definitely need them for Dylan Roth and crew. He wasn't alone. And these same people who are using their black faces and represent themselves as the leadership of you and me are inciting a volcanic eruption of hatred, rage, and actions against black people on behalf of a bunch of self-hating, porch monkey, no-good coons who hate your and my guts, whose greatest fantasy is to be, to die busting a nut in the person of another race. This is what we're up against. Now, back to Joe Biden. Donald Trump, to his credit, whether you know it or not, had a special policy where they were targeting illegal aliens who were rapists, predators, pedophiles, you name it, kicking them out of the country. Do you know that Joe Biden repealed the law, repealed the policy, so people who rape and prey on children and rape women can stay? Chucks and pearls, coons. They're going to discuss reparations. If you've read the Gay Equality Act, just by virtue of you eating bowel movement, swallowing semen, getting screwed, or rubbing two vaginas together, are guaranteed access to housing, credit, education, healthcare. In fact, in the law that every single solitary coon in Congress voted for, there are provisions for special treatment and reduced sentencing for people who commit crimes based on their sexual identities. That means pedophiles, rapists, folk who just want to flash their penis in front of your kids. They're going to get treated like, oh, that was your sexuality. You had to show that penis to that 2-year-old. We understand, right? Isn't it interesting? By the way, the Legal Defense and Education Fund and the NAACP are not talking about Kamala Harris or Joe Biden's role in the mass incarceration of black people. They're not. They aren't going to. They're liars. Benny Thompson doesn't do a damn thing. He has one of the poorest congressional districts in the country. He will do nothing to help them except help his bloated, Afrocentric pinata looking ass self. That's what I'm just telling you. And so I just want to address that. They are trying to kill you. You can be stupid. You can ignore me. I don't give a damn if you like my opinion, because I'm right. Anyone that follows me sees this stuff happen time and time again. Even skeptical people say, you know what? How come you see this stuff I can't? Well, vision is a gift from God. You may be able to see, but you may not be able to discern. Who you gonna call? Coon busters. Brothers and sisters, I'll be writing a very harsh, vicious piece against the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. And of course, that pushover, no good, lobbyist cash taking Benny Thompson down in Mississippi. Look forward to it. I will probably put out a short piece in Natural Hair magazine. I am going to try to resume some of our books because we got to do that. So look forward to a marathon. I have a whole bunch of books. I spent $250 on books today. I can't wait to share with you. I missed it. Please forgive me. Please forgive my sinus infection. Forgive me for hawking and coughing and sneezing and blowing. You need to understand and show you how black I am. Did you know that black or people from Africa have more developed sinuses than other people? We have more sinus receptors. By the way, this is part of how they designed COVID to kill us because it would go through the nose. Remember, you do the nose test? They have a problem with our nose, and some of us don't like our noses. They understood that the chemistry of the body and our sinuses and our testes. Wake up. I'm not trying to scare or alarm you. Thousands of people have been sickened from the vaccinations. Thousands of people have had to go to the emergency room. God knows how many have died that you won't hear about. I suspect that I lost a wonderful, good black woman who was happily married to a black man, neighbor to the shot. I pray to God that if you've gotten them, that you're okay. But if you're not, in fact, see somebody, get some help. If you know anybody's gotten sick, I'll do what the best I can to get you a doctor too that may know something about it. If I don't get back to you, please remind me. There's a lot on me, a lot going on. But I just want to encourage you, use your mind. Don't be surprised if Cicely Tyson got vaxxed. Don't be surprised if Mary Wilson got vaxxed. Don't be surprised. I'm telling you, the Congressional Black Circus and all the other people, they don't care about anybody. I volunteered with the Congressional Black Circus. I volunteered with the NAACP. I even knew the former heads of the Legal Defense and Education Fund. I'm not telling you something as a person that just has an attitude. I'm telling you when you actually know someone or met or been around or dealt with, we're in real trouble. And it's left to you and me, the few of us who want to live, who want to survive, to make it through this. Um, all I'm saying is it's going to get warm. And this reparations thing is not going to go as far as people think. It'll vanish like a vapor. It always does. Sheila Jackson, her hungry hippo looking ass. That's a greedy little bitch. She don't care about you. Okay? She's nasty to her staff. Just look the shit up. She's nasty. She's crooked. Most of them are. Look at Bobby Rush. He looks like a diabetic Baphomet goat. Huh? I want you to wake up. And by friends, some people are using their minds. All this push for black people to get jabbed is because thus far only 5% of people who've taken this crap are black. I'm kind of shocked that we don't have more coons than that. It gives pause that there may be hope in the universe, that we're not all as fucked up as we appear. Because y'all have got me thinking, damn, we're in the emergency room and there's a power outage. Wake up. By the way, y'all, I just got an alert from the HRC. Yes, I follow the largest gay civil rights organization in the country, HRC. They just sent a notice out that went to folk who are twisted all over. I got one of them too. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Fauci looks like a little effeminate retard, Lucky Charms person, but if he had a brand of cereal, it would be Unlucky Charms. Stacey Abrams and these people don't care about us. Wake up. I'm going to do something else. I got to take a quick nap, then I got to write a piece. Coon Busters. I just want to tell you this is going to expand. I'm off of Facebook for another 30 days or so. They've shut my account down, so if you write me, I won't write you back. Um, it's really left to us. If we don't, with the help of the Most High, we're in bad shape. Wake up, look at this. And then now they know that we're celebrity mad. I mean, they've got everybody. Pretty soon they have Snoop Dogg and Lil Wayne pushing the shot. Do you need to die? Maybe you want to. You know, knowing a little bit about drugs, not using it, but I know when a certain people would overdose because a heroin had a high potency, a lot of junkies would try to get that batch to see what it would do for them because they were numb to taking heroin. A lot of it wasn't really potent. They sought death. A lot of black people perish suicidal. In the words of rip-off artist who wrote Porgy and Bess, Gershwin, tired of living but afraid of dying. What a despicable place to be. I want to say something to you. And remember I said it. If you don't think that Biden's going to put the rainbow colors on the White House old faggot style again, you're crazy. It's warm. With this Gay Equality Act passing, you're going to see gay folk act out like never before. If it gets through the Senate, man, I'm just telling you, earthquakes and natural disasters and plagues and such, the Most High is going to shut America down. This is a wicked country, a vicious country, a racist country. Um, is it redeemable? Sure. It says God's arms aren't too short that they can't save, but people have to want to be saved. Most people just want money. Okay, and I don't care what color. It's all about the same. It's about greed. It's about the love of the world, obsession with things, materialism. I would hope, in particular, and yes, I'm gonna keep talking from a religious standpoint, because if you don't got any faith, if you don't have any morals, if you don't have any strong ideas or things that you'll stand for, believe in, you'll fall for everything. And that's why we're fallen people. not all of us, but most, I would like to see us walk with our heads up. It's possible. I'm going to sign out here. Who you going to call? Coon Busters. We got to get that MFM. I want my check. I don't want a sex change. I don't want a trans. I want to get paid. Take care. Love and peace, everybody. Bye.